Oh, looking like a snacky. I hate this live chat. concise. We got to be productive. We got to be effective today. We got to make it happen. And so, listen, Riley, when we edit this YouTube version, it's been streaming for like 10 minutes. So you're going to have to chew off like the first 10 minutes in the YouTube editor function. Do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
Wicked easy. And also, Lexi, can you inform Riley on what you've been doing for afterwards, on what you've been doing for keywords for the YouTube version?
Yeah, I'll show her which ones I use.
Okay, cool. Are we good to go on the Facebook and the IG?
Yeah, I just did the Facebook. I'm doing the IG right now.
Lexi, you're on a roll, man.
I'm killing it right now.
You are. You're slaying them down, baby.
Thank you.
Also, I'll tell you guys after. I likely have a guest lined up for early next week. But you guys are on the live, so let's not swear or do anything bad that's going to get us taken down.
Yes, sir.
I got a real hard time at keeping it 100. Okay. B, how we doing today?
What's good, bro? Just pouring myself a Borfi.
That high-powered Morphe?
We got that medium roast.
Oh. I got myself, I was like, hey, man, it's a big episode. I came through with a little space juice for myself today. You already know. Brendan, you remember back in Providence, the drive-through Starbucks? She was like, spaceman.
That was on one.
No, it wasn't him. I'm talking about the girl in the drive-through. She was always like, what's up, spaceman? I was like, okay, lady. So, girls, we need to have a quick talk. There's no way in HELL, because we're on the live and we don't want to swear, that given your interests, there could be a better summer internship / job. I was thinking about it last night. I was like, damn, these girls got the hookup.
Then this job, like the Golden Year Productions job?
Literally, in terms of connecting with the political people, if you're politically savvy, like are your other BUTV friends like, damn, you guys got the hookup? Or am I just being an egomaniac?
No, it was a huge flex today to post that we're interviewing Joe Kennedy.
That's why
I think that would agree.
That's why I was saying it on your IG. I was like, your BUTV friends must think you're the sickest of all time.
Yeah, I did get a lot of people swiping up saying, like, no way.
Hey, they are here. You guys are ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Sweet. Was it this? Okay, they just left. Was it a similar reaction for the former governor as well?
Yeah, but I think Joe Kennedy a little bit more than Duvall.
Flex on him, baby. Let's get to it. So is the president actually banning TikTok?
So he said he's back and all.
Microsoft might try to buy it.
Yeah, I saw that. And then someone else, too, was looking into buying it.
Joe's in Western Mass right now. Thank you. It's one of my favorite. Here, you want to see the back? I don't know what the lag's like on the live, but it's inspired by a Grateful Dead tee.
Ah, I like it.
Thank
Okay, now it's getting to you turning around.
So what does
Oh,
it?
I like that. That's very cool.
So a big challenge when you're making apparel is the way screen prints work is when they hike prices up, it's based on how many color prints you use. So we've done very expansive designs before. A full color print is 6 colors. So a big challenge Jack and I have adapted to over the years is how do we make the freshest designs with like 3 colors or less in the screen print. And so I thought he totally killed this. I mean, because GDP nonetheless is 2 colors, it's black and gold. But we used to try, like, when I have a gazillion bucks, I want to do some crazy, crazy stuff with the apparel.
I don't think that I think the apparel now, like, I'm surprised that they're only 3 colors. Like, they look very colorful.
Well, because then we switch it up with the garment colors a lot. It's a fun game. Like Brendan knows, we've been doing the apparel for so long. It's when you start understanding it, it's really, really fun. Especially when you got Jack leading the helm, and I'm just like, Jack, here's an idea. Just picks it out of air and just puts it on a print. He's insane.
Mm-hmm. Connor, my lead just confirmed August 11th.
Whoa, dude! You're going to PETA! You're getting PETA! All right, I'll keep that in mind. We have to get those bracelets.
What bracelets?
For your lead.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We have to go get some bracelets. So let's figure that out, how to do that today.
We do. We have a little over a week now.
Yeah, we don't want to seem like brain dead going into it, like we don't understand the product at all.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's run it. He was in here for like 5 minutes. I mean, for like a minute, 5 minutes ago, and then just ducked out.
Well, they're in a car, right? They could have lost connection.
Let's go, girls. Let's go. All right. I'm going to do a little hat today. A little Cambridge wrench hat, baby. Brendan, you know that weird feeling you get in your face after you shave, like 2 hours after, and you're just like, dude, why do I look like a naked mole rat? All right, hey, Joe's here. You guys ready? All right, guys. Hello, hello. Joey Buckets, can you hear me? In the whip. Yes, sir. This is insane. Joe, can you hear me, man? You gonna call me? Joe. Hello, hello, hello.
You there?
Joe.
Hello? Hey, you there?
I'm here, man. How are you?
Beautiful. We're good. We're good. Sorry, we're out in Western Massachusetts, so want to make sure that I'm calling in by phone, making sure that if we signal drops, hopefully the audio will at least hold.
You can hear me okay, though, correct?
Yep, I can hear you great.
How you been, man?
We're doing good. How are you?
Hustling. Are you with your team right now?
Yeah, we're out in Western Massachusetts. We just passed through Stockbridge a little while ago, off to the next stop. So got out, left Boston about 5:45 or so this morning, and get back at about 10 o'clock tonight. So a good campaign day.
Okay, real quick question. Real quick to start this off, can you give a quick synopsis of who you are and what you do? It's what we do for most episodes.
My name is Joe Kennedy. I'm a member of Congress from the 4th District of Massachusetts, and I am a candidate for U.S. Senate.
So, listen, what has your day-to-day been like the past, 2 months? Are you, running on 4 hours of sleep, five hours of sleep?
There's not a ton of sleep at the moment. It's but look, we're 29 days out from an election, and actually an election that starts later this week. As you know, because of the pandemic, we have Massachusetts passed vote by mail, and so those ballots are going to get mailed out this week. And so votes will start getting counted for this election this week. And so this is a month-long election, so it's a month-long sprint. And yeah, it means things are busy. And you got about 45 hours of work you got to fit into a 24-hour day. So not as much sleep but, on the schedule as one might hope, but certainly not unexpected. And doing exactly what we should be doing, which is running hard to the finish line. And excited for what this means so that we can actually get out there and make the case for folks in the way that we should have been doing months ago, but obviously COVID-19 prevented.
Well, do you feel like you're at the point with such little sleep that you can still make effective decisions, or are you just kind of riding on adrenaline right now?
Yeah, no, we can listen. Certainly can still make effective decisions, and it's not a lot of sleep, but candidly, I didn't get a whole lot of sleep before this thing either, and I got 2 little kids, so for a while there you got none. So we're doing just fine. But the days are busy, as they should be, right? It's the final throes of a U.S. Senate race. If you wanted to sleep 8 hours, you don't get into this race, right? Or any race, or public office to begin with. That doesn't happen.
You're a true alpha male, baby. Let's go.
So it goes, man. Right? That's what you sign up for. And again, if you're not willing to put that work in, then don't run for United States Senate.
I totally agree. And question, what's the team fueling you on right now? What are you doing for diet?
Coffee.
A lot. Are espresso shots in the coffee?
Of course. But it's
That's
basically,
my guy.
It's pretty much pure caffeine. If it's not caffeinated, I don't drink it at this point. But again, so it goes, right? That's what look. I believe, obviously, in the power of government to actually make a difference in people's lives. I believe that we're at a critical time in our country, and I believe that our government's not doing nearly as much as it should. And I believe our current senator isn't doing nearly as much as he should. And so if you want to go out there and prove it, you need to go out there and prove it. And that means you better roll up your sleeves and jump on in and be willing to throw everything you got at it. And listen, I'm willing to throw everything I got at it, right? Whether that's lack of sleep or every ounce of effort and energy that I got. I gave up my seat in the House of Representatives and risked my political career for this because I believe at this time is so critical and crucial. And so, you're going to throw everything you got at that if that's the case. And I am.
Now, question. We'll get into a little bit of policy real quick. So as you know, we have a pretty young listenership, and so I'm trying my best to angle the episode so that it's actually applicable to kids my age. And obviously, defunding the police right now is a very popular topic. Can you kind of just explain where you're at with everything in terms of your ideas on defunding, what it kind of means, and what your plans are?
Yeah. So look, I think the way in which we police in this country needs to be reformed, and I think most folks actually agree with that. And I think one of the best examples of it is our mental and behavioral health system. The largest providers of mental and behavioral health care in our country are the jails in LA and Chicago. You talk to the sheriffs across Massachusetts, and they'll tell you that on any given night, between 80 and 90% of incarcerated individuals are suffering from mental behavioral illness or substance use disorder in the jails in Massachusetts. And so, the fact is that when somebody is struggling with mental behavioral illness, a lot of times people end up calling the cops. And when they call the police and the police get called out, what a police officer's remedy in that, what they can do is essentially arrest the person. And you arrest the person, you charge them with disorderly conduct or trespassing, or perhaps some more serious crimes if there are in fact criminal violations. But we've criminalized mental illness in this country. And rather than treating it, rather than investing in the actual infrastructure of mental behavioral health care, rather than, look, 55% of the counties in our country, over half of all of the counties, do not have a single practicing psychiatrist, psychologist, social worker. Not one. When 20% of Americans will suffer with mental behavioral health issues over the course of their life. 1 in 5, almost one in every family will have mental behavioral health issue. And yet most of the counties, we don't have a single person to address it. And so we basically tell our law enforcement officers, hey, you guys solve that problem. And that's a massive misallocation of resources that isn't what police officers, they're not social workers, they're not trained to provide professional mental behavioral health care. But the lack of, in fact, investment, sustained systemic investment, and strategic investment in mental behavioral health care means that we put that on the shoulders of police officers. And
So
that's not the right place for it to go.
So to simplify, you would propose a reallocation of some of the police funding to like a behavioral or a psychological.
I think for interventions, upstream interventions, to make sure that we are not actually, you're not putting the burden on police to solve problems that are societal problems that aren't, I don't think, best solved by sending police officers out there and telling them that this is a law enforcement problem. And I think that's where that's how that money should be spent, and that's something that I've advocated for a long time in terms of particularly the upfront investment in mental behavioral health care.
How did that happen? How did it get to the point where police had to wear so many hats at one time?
Because you see penny pinching from federal and state government. You see, in particular when it comes to mental behavioral health care, look, these are oftentimes they're patients that are in the shadows. There's an associated stigma that comes with mental behavioral illness, right? No one, when I talk to crowds and I say, how many of you know somebody or have a family member that has been stricken with cancer? Almost every hand in the crowd will go up. Almost every family has a family member that's had cancer. When you ask how many of you have a family member that's been suffering with mental behavioral illness, a few hands will go up, but not nearly as many. When the numbers say almost every hand should go up too. And there's still a stigma associated with it. There's still a stigma that comes with stepping forward. But if folks aren't stepping forward, it means that the advocacy community around it isn't going to step forward. And when that advocacy community isn't there, it means that when federal and state budgets are allocated, there's that old adage that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. When people are coming up and talking about, particularly when limited resources are limited, where's the money going to go? It goes in part to where people are clamoring for it to go. And when that happens, if there's not a big push to address these big structural issues, and look, mental behavioral health care is expensive. And so folks say, hey, there's not a big clamor for it. People aren't pressuring us to do it. We can cut that and we can fund other pieces to this. But what happens, it's not that by not treating it or not funding prevention systems, it's not that people all of a sudden mysteriously get better. It's not that neglect makes people healthier. It's just the opposite. And so we end up criminalizing it and treating it as a criminal justice issue rather than a public health epidemic. And we have seen with COVID a very clear example as what happens when we don't actually try to address a public health epidemic. It festers and it gets far worse. And that's what we've seen. And we've asked, just like we've asked our essential workers and first responders to bear the brunt of a COVID-19 pandemic, we've asked law enforcement and first responders to bear the brunt of a public health, structural mental behavioral health inadequacy. And the results are not surprising.
I'm so surprised you can be this eloquent off 4 hours of sleep, man. You really are a politician. You're born for this, man.
Good job.
So question, let's say I go vote for Joey Buckets, right? September 1st, I show up, say, hey, I'm voting for Joe, man. I'm with Joe. What would people expect your ideal police force to look like?
Look, I think you've got from my perspective, right? Look, we obviously, you need law enforcement officials, obviously, in our communities. But what I think you need is you need to have communities that are and a law enforcement system that is focused on the addressing criminal behavior, and far more investment in the structural barriers there that actually can help prevent that criminal behavior from actually taking place in the first place. Again, so mental behavioral health would be a big piece of that. Also, things like affordable housing. Listen, I just left a homeless camp in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And
what does that
you got
mean? A
folks there-
homeless camp?
It means people that are homeless and there's not enough shelters in the community to provide them a bed, so they're living in the woods.
So
And
like
there's 50
similar to
60
like
folks.
an LA underpass?
Yeah, it's literally tents and people living in the woods because they've got no place else to go.
Wow.
A lot of the issues there that feed homelessness, one, it's illness, it's criminal records, it's lack of educational opportunities and lack of education. And all of a sudden, these, it's not one thing that happens, but it's one and then another and then another. And then all of a sudden, you got folks that are in desperate need of help. And so what do you need to do? You need to start to you need to address those problems far before it becomes the obviously critical nature that it is, that I just saw in Pittsfield, or by the way, in the homeless camp that I saw in Arlington a couple months ago. You need to address that far upstream. And we need to do things like that folks get access, again, mental behavioral health care that they need. Make sure that folks get access to the educational opportunities. Make sure that even for some of those folks that were incarcerated, I talked to one guy that had been incarcerated for a number of years, but still doesn't have a GED, right? Let's make sure that folks, and again, this depends widely on where you are and the access provided to some of these programs, but I think there's a greater recognition and acknowledgement that we need to focus on the reentry process for individuals so that after somebody serves their time, they're not put back in a position where they're likely to recidivate. They're likely to commit another crime.
Joe,
try to
just to simplify things real quick, so what would your police force look like though? Is it changing? Are you demilitarizing them?
Yeah, look, I think without question, we need to demilitarize, right? We've seen, these examples obviously across the country where, in regard to response to protesters, we've seen folks that are police forces that have come in heavily armed, and I don't think that is the appropriate response. Now, obviously, again, police officers got to protect themselves, right? And so I'm not saying that police officers do a dangerous job, but we have to start to put in place the right personnel and the right policies and procedures so that you're building confidence there and trust within those communities, not with programs and allocation of funds that end up leading to confrontation and challenge.
I hear you. It's totally left turn curveball here, but when you were growing up, did you always envision yourself like becoming successful at this level? Was it always something you kind of had seen for yourself, or?
No, listen, I grew up.
Be like 100% with me, because some people just, when they just know they're going to like make something of themselves.
No, look, I was an engineer in college. Most of my classmates ended up going into consulting jobs or consulting work or working on Wall Street. I didn't want to do that. I went off to the Peace Corps. I came out of that. I wanted to do more academic development work. And I did some more of that. I got burned out on it a bit. I did a lot of legal aid work when I was in law school, and I loved being in a courtroom. And I loved the promise of a justice system to try to actually address concerns of a community. And you see how the system works and you see how the system doesn't. And sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it doesn't. But the power that the law has to actually address those concerns and help people get a fair shake. And from that, I continued my work in the courtroom as a prosecutor. And again, you saw the system works and you saw how it didn't. And that was really where my focus on mental and behavioral health and addiction came from, because I saw every single day how we criminalize mental and behavioral illness. And that at a certain point, you realize pretty quickly you're not going to prosecute your way out of that problem. You need structural change, and you need systemic change, and you need to make sure we're not. You need structural change and systemic change, and you need to make sure that we're not. You're not just throwing people in jail who are sick, and that's what. If you're talking about the structures there, that's laws, and that's what lawmakers are supposed to do.
Now, obviously, you're totally driven by giving back to people, and I get that. But there was no seed in your mind growing up. You're like, it'd be really awesome to be a popular politician one day. That was never something that you were into, or like, I would love to see my name in lights type thing.
Name and lights, no. Name and lights was never.
I mean, dude, I'm just saying, like, growing up, like, I've always wanted to be successful. Like, some people they have a seed in them since a young age.
Well, listen, I mean, obviously, I always wanted to be able to make a contribution, and but I think, look, from a family of folks that have, I think, contribution. I'm very aware that there's different ways that people can make that contribution. Some choose to do it through Treasury Department.
Hey,
You know?
I'm losing you a little bit. You're better now. Joey Buckets with the Western Mass Service. Can you hear me? Nothing like driving through the sticks. So for all the dead time right now, anybody tuning in? Hey,
There.
guys. Yeah, Joe, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Sorry, we're again out in Western Massachusetts, so the signal isn't always great.
You're in the
can you hear me?
sticks, dude.
It is a beautiful day out here, and we're stopping by a place where you get to pick your own blueberries. So how about that?
Nice. That's going to be some
but
great
the-
content for the Twitter.
There you go.
Hey,
So-
let me just segue because I know we have 5 minutes real quick.
Yep.
So what's the status of the new stimulus package? I have a lot of friends who have been receiving the unemployment benefits, and some rightfully so. Some are hitting Foot Locker to go buy new Jordans with the 600, which is obviously an abuse of the system. Where are things at, and what do you think we should do right now?
The stimulus package is basically the negotiations are ongoing, but they're not nearly as far along as they should be. Look, the House passed a stimulus package literally about 2 months ago, and the Republicans sat on it for last week. We finally got it, and they're not really willing to engage. I just spoke to our leadership a moment ago before I hopped on this call with you. And about all business owners across our Commonwealth over the course of the past several weeks, they're really concerned about the loss of these benefits. Because, if you own a small local restaurant, if folks all of a sudden can't make ends meet, they're not exactly going to go out and buy a meal at your restaurant. It's that additional flexibility that is actually keeping much of the other money flowing through the system. And, there's, I think, without question, families are in dire need of relief. We are looking at the potential for an entire tsunami of evictions that could ripple across Massachusetts and the country. People need help. And we've got to make sure the federal government is the only entity that actually can provide those resources at the moment. We've got to make sure that they get them. The consequences of not doing this could be absolutely disastrous.
I'm totally with you that people need the aid, but some people, like in most situations where you're trying to help people out, it's created kind of a vacuum. Do you think it's created like a disincentive for people to get back to work who were initially not totally pumped on working?
Look, I don't think it's an issue where folks that weren't, a lot of folks who were working aren't working, obviously aren't now. And there's, I've talked to business owners that have indicated that they've struggled to get some people back to work. I do think that on the whole, if we look at this from a way to inject money into an economy to keep the economy afloat versus now all of a sudden taking all of that away. Look, when people can't go back to work, when we're seeing economies and states have to take a step back from reopening because this administration has screwed up the public health response so badly, you take this away, you're going to see economies crater. And if the administration had actually engaged.
Joey Buckets with the service. Losing you again, man. Joe. Okay, just for anybody tuning in, Joe is in Western Mass, and the cell service is pretty terrible. It's like a different part of the state, which is like a totally different world. And we just lost him because of service. So, team, you still with me?
Yes.
He might hop back in, but we got some nuggets. I just want to make sure we can hit on the Green New Deal piece if he hops back in. I'm just going to text this guy real quick. Hey, for anybody tuning in, again, Joe does not have great service, but we are live right now with Joe Kennedy III, who's running for U.S. Senator, and we were just talking about the stimulus package and everyone receiving unemployment benefits. And sometimes I'm up here talking, and I'm like, damn, I sound like I know what I'm talking about politically, but honestly, I don't. I just want to make sure I can hit on the Green New Deal piece before we end. Well, to kill some time, anybody got any jokes? In the research squad, anybody got any jokes? Nope. I'm getting a text from his press secretary right now. He says, bad area. I apologize about that. I'll check to see if he can reconnect. So no one in the research squad got some jokes. I got a joke for you. Okay, guys, why did the chicken cross the old road?
Why?
Obviously to get to the other side, man.
Connor, what's the best time to go to the dentist?
When your teeth are nasty.
No, 2:30.
Oh, God. Now that was classic. What a knee slapper. That was actually so funny. I was like, Joe, like, what's your diet? He goes, a lot of caffeine, man. You got to think about it. I can't even imagine what my caffeine intake would be like if I was working like the 20-hour day. Oh, my God. It's disgusting right now. We give him about 3 more minutes. I'm going to look up a couple jokes just to hold everybody over. Okay. Hey,
There's a joke in the chat right now.
what's the joke?
So a horse walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Why the long face?"
Why?
I'm waiting on the punchline. Hold on.
Punchline. We need the punchline.
This is
That is the
Real
punchline.
Mango.
That is a horse. The horse with a long face.
Stupid.
That guy's a comedic genius, whoever tossed that in there. I like it. If anyone else is in the chat, man, just toss in some classic jokes. Also, if we can get Joe back, I want to hit the Green New Deal thing. Is there anything else you guys want to squeeze in last minute? He'll probably give us like 7 minutes. Talking to the research squad. Green New Deal. Green New Deal. Riley, this episode is going to take a couple little edits because of some of the dead time.
Yeah.
We can keep we can keep all the stuff at the end, but I just want to make sure the audio version flows through for someone playing in their car.
Yeah. I'll cut out like dead time.
Green New Deal. Green New Deal. All right, let me call this guy, Brian. Can you guys stay on the line?
Yeah.
Brian, are you guys able to reconnect?
Let me check in with him right now. So I'm he's in a separate car. Let me check.
Okay. All right, he's gonna check. We'll give it 4 more minutes. Actually, how about 3.5 more minutes? And then we'll get on to working on other things, man. Wait, research squad, you guys are with me, right?
Yep.
Cool. What a fun race, though, huh? Imagine being on the trail right now. Just high intensity. It's interesting. Like, I had seen that. I had seen what you're talking about, Lexi, with Marquis Twitter doing a good job. They had like the most random hip hop beat over a 60 Minutes interview. And it was like so out of place. But I was like, that was really smart.
Yeah, and he posted another one the other day that was like lo-fi beats for Markey. And it was like an old video of him walking through Congress in like the 80s.
It was really clever. Like they must have a really good media team.
Don't say that too loud.
Hey, I never said I'm swearing allegiance to anybody, man. We're supposed to be the non-biased media, right? Well, again, if you're tuned in, this is unfortunate. We are waiting to see if can't seem to get connected. Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap the episode then. So for everybody who tuned in, thank you. Sorry that was cut short. I think we got a solid like 18 to 22 minutes with Joe Kennedy III, and we're hoping we came through with some value for people. We talked a little bit about his ideal police force. We discussed what his day-to-day has been like. We were transitioning into the unemployment, and he also talked about a little bit about why he wants to do what he's doing and if he visualized his success. So it was short, it was abrupt. Hopefully we can get more value from it eventually. Hopefully we can reconnect with him before the election, but the election is on September 1st. So take that as you will and run with it, man. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll just end the old Zoom ski right now.